This is Alan with Tune Army Baltimore, a gooner and a toffee walking to a bar. Decided to do a shit football podcast. You're listening to the DU Football Show.
Welcome back, stud.
Yes, we're back.
Yeah, we did a little something last week without you.
No, I heard, but I'm back, and all I needed was a week. I feel energized, ready to rock. Let's do it.
Let's talk about the new teams that have all just recently gained promotion.
Let's do it.
Let's start the show.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston.
Sam Houston?
Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Stump of a lord. Looks great in shorts. Sam Grammy.
Sam Graham.
Fucking United! Fucking United!
Hello and welcome to the Drunken United Football Show, a completely biased recap of the English Premier League as told by two common American schmucks. I am your host, Sam Houston, and across the way from me is the beach-bronzed Samuel Graham.
I am quite tan.
Hey, dude, you know what? I guess it doesn't matter what I think of how you're doing.
No, fuck you. I am quite tan and just living the dream.
Relaxed, feeling good.
Oh, yeah, big time.
You do that soccer player thing where, like, you pulled up your shorts and tanned the quads.
Do you want me
thingy.
to show you?
No, I would prefer
Yes,
you
I
not
did.
show me. But,
Although I have gained a fair couple pounds during lockdown, so I could only get them halfway up the old thighs.
Oh, I was just gonna say from being at the beach because eating Mr. B's and eating subs every day and drinking 50 fucking beers will add a few pounds to your waistline.
We cooked a bunch. We only ate out 3 times, and all of that was takeout to bring home, of course.
Right, of course.
Ocean City's a local COVID hotspot.
Yeah, no shit.
So we did a lot of staying in the house and a lot of just beach and pool. And that was it.
It was a lot of Baltimore horn. So much Baltimore horn.
We stepped onto the boardwalk twice, and by we I mean me, and once with Tegan. And it was only at 9th Street because that is the secondary and much slower Thrasher's French fries location.
So cut in,
park
got
the
fries,
car,
got
get the
fuck
fries,
out.
get back in the car, drive home.
Excellent.
Those are the only 2 times we touched the boardwalk because I refuse to go to Ocean City and not buy Thrashers.
That's true. You do kind of have to have those French fries.
100%. I'm also going to inquire about opening up a franchise in Midtown where it would be even safer for people to get French fries from.
Probably.
Yep.
We're recording at Studio H just outside our nation's capital. You can check us out on all podcast platforms. Please be sure to rate, subscribe, review, share with your footballing friends. And Sam, should you want to chat with us, there's many ways that you can. Why don't you tell the good people how they can get in touch?
Absolutely. You can get in touch with us on social media at DUfootballshow on all the major ones, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. No fake news here, by the way. Only alleged speculation.
Exactly.
And then you can get in touch with us by email at dufootballshow@gmail.com, which we welcome all of that. As long as you like us on Facebook, you'll also get an invite to our closed group, a Drunkard United FC, which is where we do most of our shit talk.
All the fuckery.
Yeah. All the shithousery happens in there. So make sure you give us a like on Facebook. You'll be involved in that group. And then you can see a bunch of the pictures and bullshit that we share and talk about and interact with people that we talk about on the show all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Or Sam, as I always like to say, even during the COVID era, you can just drive your happy ass in here, which is the case of today. We have David with us. David, how you doing, good sir?
I'm awesome. Thanks for having me. You sanitize everything, so we're good to go.
Wonderful. And
It's always easier when he's been working from home, too.
yeah, true.
It's nice.
So, David, who do you support?
I'm a fan of the Mighty Whites, the mighty Leeds United.
Careful, we're in America.
It's the color of the kit, the home kit.
JK.
Unfortunate nickname.
I'll give myself snaps, fucking guys.
That kind of already answers my question for me. How have you managed getting through life thus far, being able to breathe and walk and chew gum at the same time? Sam and myself both work in the wine and spirit industry and both have a deep, passionate love for all things distilled spirit. So as the red-blooded Americans we are, we vow to have a drink in our hand throughout this show and every single show. Sammy, we're doing something fun today. What do we got?
We are. So from Houston's Cave of Curious Cocktails, we have actually a classic cocktail, and not so curious at all, to be honest with you. It is Houston's Rock and Rye, in which you used Whistle Pig Rye single barrel samples that you had left over from your time with that lovely company. Bring them back, please. And in this cocktail, they were all 10-year-old samples ranging between 107 and 120 proof. You used cinnamon, clove, orange peel, and rock candy to make these cocktails. Like I said, they were all 10-year-old samples. They, if you were to buy the whiskey by themselves, they would run you about $85.99 to $89.99, plus the cost, obviously, of the cinnamon and clove, the candy, and an orange.
Yep. So I did a little something different with it as well. So I just did the obvious clove and cinnamon with the rock candy, and then the varied different samples of single barrels that I had ranged from 107 to like 120, something like that. Put those in, let those sit in a dark space for a couple of days, pulled them back out, put another rock candy in. Then I did the orange peel. I also did 2 orange slices and 1 lemon slice. I wanted to make sure it didn't come off tasting like a rye equivalent of Grand Marnier. I didn't want it to be overly orange, so I wanted some of that citrus to kind of shine through and balance it out. For my first attempt, I was pretty happy with it. I think next go around, I'm going to go 1 cinnamon stick instead of 2 cinnamon sticks.
Cinnamon comes through real big on the nose.
Yep.
Yeah, that's you.
And then I think I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of nutmeg to it as well. I think that would probably be a really nice touch. But
speaking of
that's really good.
Thank you.
It is, right? Speaking of random spices, while I was gone, I was watching Family Feud, of course, because there's nothing else on late night TV, and we had nowhere to go.
Right.
And
so how many women embarrass Steve Harvey by talking about sex?
a ton.
Yeah.
But it was the funny thing was about how something smelled. I don't remember the exact question. It was, if you had to do something, what would it smell like? And some woman said paprika. And Steve Harvey was like, the fuck does paprika even smell like?
Oh,
It was very funny. Very funny. It just, when you said nutmeg, it just put me in that place.
All right.
I
Well,
really don't care, man. I'm still on beach time.
Heard still on beach time.
This is great.
Well, let me guess. Today was a bit of a struggle getting through work, getting
big
them
time.
orders
I
in.
had Tegan with me too.
Oh, made it a little tougher, huh?
Yeah.
And by the way, David, as a parting gift, that little miniature flask there is yours to take home of the Rock and Rye.
Oh, thank you. Oh, man. I'm going to drink the hell out of that.
Look at that. He even
All right,
signed
kids.
it. He even signed it for you. Guys, remember to drink
collectible.
responsibly, will you?
How about that? Check out Sam Graham. Still remembering to be socially responsible.
I
done.
started.
You started. Oh. Yeah, because if I make it big, you get angry at me. If I make it small, you don't notice it. It's a big, big old problem.
Yeah.
July 18th, 2020. The day the world began its epic collapse. COVID? No. Zombie apocalypse? No. Leeds fucking United win the championship and gain automatic promotion to the Premier League after a 16-year absence. Graham, how about you give us a little look at the history of Leeds United?
Absolutely. So Leeds play at Elland Road. They have since 1919 as this iteration of the club, which I'll get into in a second. That stadium was built in 1897, has a capacity now of 37,890, which was after their final expansion in 1994.
And as we've already learned, have the unfortunate nickname of the All Whites.
Yeah.
The Mighty Whites.
The Mighty Whites.
The Mighty Whites. Yeah. Ooh, that's even worse. Yeah, the All Whites was
Zealand.
Tranmere is the All Whites.
Yes.
New Zealand's the All Blacks.
The soccer team's the All Whites.
Oh,
No shit. That's true.
Yeah.
Yes. Chris Wood.
Chris Wood,
Come on, man.
former Leeds striker.
Chris Wood.
Scored 30 goals in 16, 17, I believe.
Damn. But that was in like League One, wasn't it?
It was championship. You're in championship.
I'm just giving you shit. All right. So this iteration of the club was formed in 1919 after the dissolution of Leeds City Football Club by the Football League and subsequently took over Elland Road along with a local amateur team. This disbanding came after allegations of illegal payments made to players during the First World War, and Leeds City FC were forced to sell all of their players. That all happened under the tutelage of soon-to-be Arsenal manager, one of the greatest in our history, Herbert Chapman, to bring it back to myself.
Pro Arsenal agenda.
And to help keep them afloat, Huddersfield Town chairman, Hilton Crowther, something like that, loaned them £35,000 to be repaid when Leeds won promotion to the first tier of football.
They probably couldn't afford that now, could they?
Probably not, to be honest with you. They got to play for all the cleanup of Bielsa laying naked in the physio's room.
Hey, we got that Premier League money. We're rolling in it now. He's just swimming in a tub of ones.
Yeah, tub of one. Oh, that'd be hard though. Pound notes are
That's
coins.
Right, they are.
They're coins. They don't have dollar ones like we do. They're paper ones. I lost my place. Leeds United was then formed and then voted at the time when they were formed. Was only voted into the Midlands League and had to work their way back up to the first tier. It only took a year until they were voted into the Football League in general in 1920, and they won promotion just 4 years later in 1924. For the first few years back up, they were a bit of a yo-yo club, finally establishing themselves in the top flight for the most part in the years leading up to the Second World War. After selling off their best player for a world record fee at the time to Juventus, Leeds was then relegated a season or two later. That resulted in financial difficulties, which almost saw them relegated to the third division. At the time, would have been completely ruining, and they would have been obscure for from then on out. But a win on the final day saw them stay up. Don Revie, who was their coach, the manager at that time, implemented changes such as implementing a youth policy and changing their strip to all white in the style of Real Madrid. And the era of the Yorkshire cunts began.
Yeah, Don Revie, loved by Leeds fans, hated by most everyone else.
So it fits the bill of Leeds.
And he had a unsuccessful spell as the manager of England, which didn't help. But he's pretty much the enemy of the Damned United, if you've ever seen the Damned United.
I've not seen the movie. I know the premise of the movie. And Brian Clough, when it saved the club from that a few years later.
Well, he was there for 90 days and he sucked.
Who?
Because he hated Leeds. Brian Clough.
Oh,
And
no,
then
it was Nottingham Forest.
he went to
Brian Clough
Forest.
was a fantastic person of. Yeah.
He went to
sorry.
Forest. They won 2 European championships.
Blended two stories together.
Yeah.
My bad. Don Revie, there we go.
It's not Arsenal, so you don't pay attention to much of anything.
That's hard to keep track. From that point, 3 first division championships, 5 runners-up, 7 promotions back into the first tier. 4 of those were winners of, at the time, the second division and now the championship. 1 FA Cup, 1 League Cup, 2 Community Shields, 2 Inner City Fairs Cup, which was the precursor to the UEFA Cup and the Europa League, 1 runner-up medal in that competition as well, 1 UEFA Cup runners-up medal, and 1 European Cup runners-up,
Which
they
robbed.
lost to Bayern Munich in a bit of a debacle.
We were robbed. That referee was that was the last match he ever refereed because he was so horrible.
That was the famous everyone on Leeds shaved their heads
Oh, okay.
for that. They were all bald for that final.
Mm-hmm.
Some say it was on a bender in the build-up that they decided to do that. Others say it was in support of another player that they did that.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll never know. All I know is their nickname is the Mighty Whites, and they all shaved their heads before the biggest game in their history.
Yeah, that just does not add up well.
But they were playing the Germans.
True, fair enough. Maybe they just wanted to fit in. Wait. They have had some wonderful players and managers over the years as well. George Graham, another soon-to-be Arsenal coach, played for them. Dennis Irwin, the Irishman. Eddie Gray, Rio Ferdinand, the old Manchester United great, played for Leeds. Coming up, the Arsenal, one of Arsenal's greatest ever goalkeepers, David Seaman, old safe hands, played there. The late great Gary Speed. They got Wales back to being a respectable nation on the international stage. That football-wise, that Wales is a great country anyway. Brian Clough, of course, coach there, although had a terrible time, 90 days, as you said, and then went on to do great things with Nottingham Forest. Terry Venables, future England manager, was there. Ian Rush, who was very famous for doing things at Liverpool after that.
Ian Rush was the main striker during the 84, 85, 86, 87 seasons when them and Everton were going back and forth exchanging titles.
Yep.
And an excellent mustache. First class.
Had a good tash.
Yeah.
Even
Ian
Sam
Rush.
has to admit it.
Yeah.
Sam
Those
H.
did. Yeah.
In those days, he had a good tash.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good tash for a cunt. Go ahead.
The old musty was getting it on. But the last fact about Leeds is everyone loves to fucking hate them.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's true.
Oh, and correct me if I'm wrong. Leeds is the third largest city in all of England, correct?
I think it's close. It's like
Fourth?
Leeds, Manchester, and Liverpool are all about the same size.
Right.
I
And
thought
they're-
Newcastle was up there as well.
Okay, could be.
I thought.
And Sheffield's up there. So it's like London's way up there in 1, Birmingham's
Right.
way up there in 2, and then
3, 4, 5, 6 kind of.
they're all pretty close.
Yeah.
Right.
But
And a lot of
Leeds-
people don't know that for Leeds.
Yeah. They're a one club city. So they're massive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is basically the Midlands version of Newcastle.
Yeah.
Not that your
precisely.
club is run like a shit show, although it is.
It was.
Yeah. This is how we talk about Newcastle's a big club, and
Yeah.
this is blah blah blah. This is the Midlands version of that story essentially. It just they don't have Mike Ashley, which is a very big step in the right direction.
Right.
We had some pretty comparable owners before, but
Right.
thankfully they're on the right track. 100%.
So before we get into some of the questions, talk about when the club went down 16 years ago and then kind of what just happened, because everything, I mean, the wheels fell off the bus completely, correct?
Oh, yeah. So this was before I became a fan, but so I believe it was 2002. They made the Champions League semifinals, and 2 years later, they went down. The owner at the time, Peter Ridsdale, had like mortgaged the future, spent too much on players, money he didn't have, they made the Champions League semifinals. So he thought, we're going to make the Champions League every year.
Right.
And when that didn't happen, it just went to shit. And then they had to sell everybody. And then, it was just
Did you guys end up all the way down in League 2, or was it only League 1 that you dropped all the way down to?
League 1 was
Okay.
as far as
Well,
they went.
The other thing, the other crazy story about Leeds in general. I mean, when I first started following football, they were in an established Premier League club.
Oh, God, yeah.
But they won, remember, the final first division title before the Premier League was formed.
Right.
So they were still a huge club. They were still a very big club. It was Liverpool in 90-91 and Leeds in 91-92. So they were being talked about in the same conversation as Liverpool, Manchester United, and having those sorts of resources, having those sorts of that sort of history and prestige playing for the club.
Right. So,
And then it literally all went to shit 16 years ago.
So
Oh,
funny story.
mhm.
The last time Liverpool won the title, Leeds went up from the second division. And now here we are, 30 years later, Liverpool wins the title. Leeds come up from the second division.
So which one of you is Abe Lincoln and which one is Lee Harvey Oswald?
wrong one then, killer.
What?
John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah, correct. That's what I meant. What? See, I did. Oh my God, I
Leeds,
didn't even realize I did that, and that's the whole JFK thing.
Leeds shot first.
Shit, the world's about to explode.
Leeds shot first.
There you go. Lead shot first. I love it.
Fair enough.
But it's funny you say that because I heard a stat. They're actually 13th on the all-time Premier League table, and they've been out of the league for 16 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this, I think this goes back to money. Just say it's that like the old days of the first division where teams could come up and be competitive. Doesn't happen very often.
Right.
Right. And that's actually a very fun stat. But I think it has a lot to do with the money. When you talk about when the Champions League was formed and the television rights money started coming in, you had a very clear divide between the top four and the rest of the league.
Oh,
And
yeah.
now there's certain things have happened. Consistent Europa League places have gotten teams some money. Now you see Tottenham up there. Now you see Leicester won the league. Couple Champions League seasons. Now they have some money. Now you have
City and Chelsea suddenly get incredibly rich owners that put a lot.
just before financial fair play, Dad.
Right. And they're able to really build up their team. So,
Right.
so now you look at this league
As a
and,
top 6, top 7.
well, shit, 10 teams.
Right.
10 teams could be in Europe. I think
Europe,
even,
yes,
Yeah, you
yes,
look at
yes,
this
yes.
season, this upcoming season. Now, I think of those 10, you're going to say maybe 5 or 6 are playing for top 4, but the other 4 or 5, they're playing for Europe. They got a chance at it. And as we've seen, the worst team in the league in Norwich can beat one of the best teams in the league in Man City, or one of the worst teams in the league in Watford can beat Liverpool on any fucking day. That's just
Right.
what the league has become.
No, absolutely. And with that kind of forming of the boys club, if you will, that country club at the top, you had clubs like Leeds that just started to fall away. You had clubs like, in the moment.
Yeah.
But their tradition, right? Newcastle, same thing. Their tradition says that in the all-time table, if you look at every club that's ever been in the Premier League, they still fare very well.
Yeah.
And that wins and
Newcastle,
losses.
Leeds, Newcastle, West Ham. Those are all teams that had gone down at some point to the championship. That were teams that pretty much were perennial top flight teams all the fucking time.
Yeah.
You know, maybe not necessarily successful in the case of Newcastle or West Ham. Well, I mean, Newcastle had its successes, but those teams were stalwarts. And we've seen in the last 10 years, those clubs go down. You know, we saw it happen with Newcastle more recently, and we saw it happen with West Ham as well about 8-10 years ago,
No,
8 or 9 years
less
ago?
than that. It's probably 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
The Dildo brothers are still in charge.
Yeah. Now, let's get into more of the...
Before the questions,
Yes.
I have one more final dig.
Yes.
Can you please name me the 4 clubs in England that have curse words in their name?
Okay, well, Arsenal.
Arse.
Scunthorpe.
Cunt.
Right. Fucking Man United.
Fucking Man United, yeah.
And Leeds United fucking cunts.
Leeds United Football Club is not football club. Actually stands for fucking cunts.
Yeah,
It's
pretty
true.
much.
It's on the badge.
All right, that was it. Final dig. Now we'll be
In
serious.
country we thrive is what it says in Latin.
Yeah.
There you go, Taylor. You have another homework assignment. Figure out the Latin translation. In country we thrive. God, I'd love to name the show that, but we can't.
Yep, because Apple are a bunch of prudes.
Yeah. So,
All right.
David, what brought you to the team? What made you a Leeds supporter?
So I've always been a big soccer fan. I've played since I was 5, but I never had a kind of European club to follow. And I always watched, the U.S. national team. And then there started to be more soccer on television. And I didn't have a team. And I was trying to think of, who should I support? And I had been playing as Leeds on FIFA in my career mode. I was like, fuck it. I'll be a Leeds fan.
You'd be surprised how many people you talk to that it was FIFA that got them into their club, and then they start watching their club, and by the end of the season, they're just like, yep, that's it. I love them.
it. Yep.
That's my team. I fucking love them. It's my case. Tim brought me to the club for Everton, but by the end of the year, I was more in love with Leighton Baines and Timmy Cahill and the team. That was it. By the end, I fell in love with them.
Oh, yeah. Timmy Cahill is great. Like the Australian. You love an Australian.
Yep.
Or a Kiwi.
I was just listening to another podcast on the way over here, and they were talking about a friend of one of the hosts was on a plane from somewhere in Australia to Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how pilots always come on and they got that, hey, everybody, we're going to be cruising up to 10,000 feet, and just sit back, relax, kick your feet up. We'll arrive about 6:35, and it's about 73 degrees, 82% humidity there. Everything's going to be fine. You know, they have that very calming, nice presence. This Australian pilot got on and was like, oi, we're going to Sydney. It's like, what the fuck? So you just think about Australians being super laid back and just gung-ho, right? And he shared this anecdote about his, oi, we're going to Sydney. It's like, fuck, who's in the cockpit?
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, my first memories of Leeds United, Vinny fucking Jones, everybody.
Hell yes.
Choking a motherfucker on the field.
Yeah. Very Dunk-esque. You would remember that.
Well, I will. Well, I watched him from, I knew him as the actor, and I knew he was a professional
from
footballer.
Snatch and
Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. And so I went back and, did an image search on him. And the first thing that popped up for him was him as a player choking a motherfucker in a Leeds jersey. Yeah. So when everybody talked about Leeds, I'm like, oh, that's the team that's got motherfuckers that choke somebody. That's exactly. Yeah, I know
fucking
that.
get it.
So the next one's kind of a trick question because when I looked it up on Wikipedia, I saw who your major rivals were. Well, let's face it, it's rivals you haven't played in a while. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who your big rivalries are?
Yeah, so Leeds fans hate Manchester United the most, but Manchester United fans would not say the same thing.
Right.
So, the War of the Roses was the Red Rose of Lancashire, the White Rose of Yorkshire. So there's kind of when Leeds were coming up in the late 60s, early 70s, Manchester United also was coming up with Sir Matt Busby against Don Reeves' teams.
God rest his soul. Sir Matt Busby died in that plane crash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Munich air disaster. Yeah. And rest in peace. No hate there. I'm not gonna.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
All right, Sammy Sosa.
Nerd.
You just did the thing.
Yeah.
So there's a rumor of a third kit being magenta, and Leeds fans on Twitter are like flipping their shit because it's red.
Interesting.
And I'm
right?
doing air quotes for the people who can't see.
Right.
But it's magenta. It's
Which is
it's a different
everyone.
color. It's a different color. But I mean,
people
I
that
hate
can't
Manchester
see.
United anyways because they're like the Yankees, you know,
Mhm.
tourist club.
Ugh, they're the
People
worst.
all over the world love them, and
I hate
never
everything
been.
about it. So many bandwagon fans there.
Well,
Exactly.
and it makes sense too because the cities are relatively close to one another, and really you're a one club city, so there's no inter-city rivalry. Anyways, the other rivalry that I had saw listed as well was Chelsea, and I assume that's because that's a big London club. You had a big London club you had a rivalry with, and you had a big Manchester club you had a rivalry with.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it out loud, but insert racist joke
Yeah.
about who wants to be the number one racist.
Forget
Forget it. Sorry. That's
I'm not
no,
going to insert
saying,
the joke, but I'm going to insert the
I'm not-
joke right here.
I'm not saying anything about Leeds fans. I really don't think that they're like that. It's Chelsea is the ones that are.
Right.
But with a nickname like the Mighty Whites, you can't avoid the joke.
It's very similar. Like Chelsea were good when Leeds were good, and there were some epic battles. Leeds had a lot of proper hard defenders.
Mhm.
Chelsea had Chopper Harris,
Mhm.
and they got into some epic confrontations. The two of them.
Mhm.
There was a 1970 FA Cup final that actually went to a replay, and in the second tie, Chopper Harris took out Eddie Gray, who was our most creative player, and he couldn't really do anything, and Chelsea ended up winning. But now, actually, I fucking hate Frank Lampard. So I really want to beat Chelsea.
Got it.
Like the Derby stuff with Spygate, and then him crying about Liverpool celebrating too much, and the season starting too early, and yet they trashed the away dressing room after they won the semifinal, not the promotion final, the semifinal, and it didn't really get out because Leeds, we're a classy club, but it got out that they trashed the dressing room. There was stains everywhere. There was like a brown stain on the floor of unknown origin. So I really want to be Frank Lampard.
Got it. Very good. Very good. So when you guys were in the championship, because let's face it, you're down there for a while. What clubs really seemed to be? Was it a lot of the Midland clubs, like the Birmingham city, like the Birmingham area clubs, or like Wolverhampton or anybody like that kind of became your key rivals?
So I guess any of the Yorkshire clubs, there's always a local rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
So there's Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield United,
Got it.
Huddersfield, Bradford City, even though they never met when I was following them.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a rivalry with Millwall. They kind of, when they went down, there was a semifinal in League One to get promoted to the championship, and they beat us in the semi-final. But just kind of like the hooligan cultures over the years.
Very
it's
true.
just, people.
Widely known that Millwall are some tough motherfuckers. We were talking about it, Mel and I, last week about the knife assault a few years back in the
Fuck
streets
you
of
on
London.
Millwall.
Yeah, where the guy who disarmed the terrorist with the knife after getting stabbed a few times before he ran into the fight, before he ran into it, said, "Fuck you, I'm Millwall."
And my favorite quote was they asked him in the hospital, did he say that? And he said, I don't know, but it sounds like something I would say.
Even better.
Yeah.
Even better. Fucking love it.
That is brilliant. And then the subsequent knife attack on a Everton supporter walking from the tube to the ground in the FA Cup 2 years ago.
Yep. There was that as well.
Cut him on his cheek with a razor blade.
Yeah, the game where if that was played at Everton, there would have been VAR and the call would have gotten overturned and we probably would have won that game. But instead, VAR wasn't there and we were a bunch of fucking spineless pussies and bent over backwards and let Millwall beat us. Yeah, I'm not holding any grudges about that at all. All right, so anyway, let's talk more about the club itself currently in its newest form, what the team that obviously got promoted. And a lot of that you can't go without mentioning Bielsa as the head coach of the club. As Graham so eloquently puts it on a regular basis, I want Marcelo Bielsa, and I want him inserted directly into my veins like heroin, you know?
Oh, yes,
So-
please.
So talk a little bit about his style of play, what he looks for out of his clubs, and what he has done as far as a formation for your club.
Yeah, so first of all, I fucking love Marcelo Bielsa. Like, I named my dog Izzo after Tom Izzo because I'm a huge Michigan State basketball fan. And I think Bielsa's just behind him in terms of my love of coaches.
Okay, very good.
And so Bielsa has a plan A and a plan A and a plan A, and that's it. He sticks to his formation, and that's what he does.
Mm-hmm.
So there's only just play better, or I'll put players who I can play better.
What kind of formation does he run out there?
So he always has one more center back than striker. So generally it's a 4-1-4-1, two center backs, two fullbacks, holding midfielder, right and left midfielder who just run their ass off all game. Kind of a more box-to-box midfielder and kind of more of a 10 who's a creative player. And then Patrick Bamford up front who does the striker needs to do a lot of the dirty work. He can't just finish, which unfortunately Patrick Bamford drives me crazy. He misses so many chances, but he does all the dirty work. He get in the channels. He harasses center backs.
Back to goal, win balls in the air, get it distributed out to wingers. That just the thankless shit that a striker has to do from time to time.
Yeah, so generally Leeds try to play on the floor, and if they go through the air, it's kind of like Man City, how they cross from like the left fullback to the right mid and vice versa, and then overload with the fullback on that side.
Got it.
So they like to not so much high press, but just that their fullbacks always are involved in the attack, that they're just already there. And then the center mid kind of drops back, and the center backs play tight on the outlet balls. So
And it almost becomes a back three when you have the ball.
Correct.
Is what you're saying.
Also, yeah, when there's like they play a 4-4-2, they do almost a 3-3-3-1, where the center defensive mid drops back as part of a back three.
Right, when you have the ball. Right.
And then if they play a team that has two strikers, because they want one more center back than striker.
Yeah.
Right.
Gotcha.
So when they play Burnley, they'll play a 3-3-3-1.
Right.
But
okay.
it looks basically the same when they have the ball, just out of possession. It looks a bit different.
Yeah. No, of course.
Got it. Now, with that in mind, do you think that is going to translate to the Prem, or do you think that's going to get them in trouble in the Prem?
So I think they'll take a few hidings for sure, but I think they're also going to put it on some teams. Like the third round tie against Arsenal in the FA Cup. Sam G will remember the first half Leeds absolutely bossed it, but they didn't score. And then second half, Arsenal come out. They play a lot better because Arteta was managing and he got the troops together. And they only lost 1-0. The goal was kind of, I don't want to say Arsenal didn't deserve a goal, but the goal they scored was a bit fluky. But
inch or a mile is all I got to say about that.
But you know what? I'll say we're second in the FA Cup. Arsenal won it. You know, we were second.
You know, this actually, yeah, right. This actually brings me up to a great question, because in that particular game, it looked as if you pressed and played Bielsa style the entire first half, and in the second half of that particular game, you were exhausted. This happened at Marseille over the course of the season. This happened with Leeds last season. If it wasn't for COVID, we wouldn't know whether or not it would have happened this season again. My question to you is, are you worried about that 2/3 of the season burnout? Or do you think that Bielsa will change that style to meet the demands of the Premier League? Because we've already seen Norwich, who like to play, who like to keep the ball on the floor, who aren't particularly physical. They were the fucking whooping boys by a mile.
They took a few scalps, and then they just took.
And that was it.
By December, it was just bend over and take it.
Absolutely. So do you think Bielsa will recognize that and change his style? Because he's one with a reputation, at least, of being quite stubborn about how he wants to do things.
Yeah, he's going to play like they played in the championship. He's played like that his whole career. That's how they're going to play, whether it works or not. And, you know, eventually, like Leeds had some down points the last 2 years where they hit a bad run of form. And then, unfortunately, 2 years ago, it was at the end of the season, they couldn't pick it up again. So this year,
What you're trying to say is they choked the big fat dick. at the end of last
Well,
two seasons ago.
what was it? The championship semifinals. Was against Villa, wasn't it? Again, the championship semifinals.
Darby.
Yeah, Derby.
It was against Derby. I'm sorry.
that
And then
was
Villa
Lampard.
beat Derby to go up. Yeah.
Yeah.
More
That's right.
fueling his hatred of Lampard.
So
Fair enough.
they
Yeah.
dominated. So the 2 games in the regular season, absolutely hided Derby. The away leg, they only won 1-0, but they were in complete control. And then they were up 1-0, and then 44th minute, there's a miscommunication between the center back and the keeper, and Derby walk in and get an equalizer at halftime, and then it just fell apart in the second half. So you look at their running stats from year end to the beginning of the year, and they're pretty comparable. Now I know being tired, it can manifest itself mentally, but I don't really worry. Like they're so fit, and they used the fewest number of players in the championship last year, and that's a 46-game season. Premier League's only 38. And this whole, shrinking the season down to fit everything in,
That helps.
it's going to affect, especially teams playing in Europe. Like if you're Spurs and you're coming off going to Kazakhstan on a Thursday and playing Leeds on a Sunday, that's the last team you want to see.
Absolutely.
That's true. If it's going to be a team that's going to boss and
You're
run the
absolutely
pitch
right.
and make you run a lot,
100%. The one point that I would bring up is fucking. I don't even know who was up front for West Brom last season, off the top of my head. But
They had Hal Robson, Kanu, and then
all right, okay.
Charlie Austin would come off the bench.
No, this is perfect. Hal Robson Kanu, the Welshman, used to play for Reading, by the way.
Great goal in the Euros.
Yeah,
2016.
wonderful. Yeah, wonderful goal. Absolutely. But take Hal Robson Kanu and Leeds pressing style and everything else, and then turn it around to Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Harry Kane.
yeah.
I don't care if they just got off a plane from fucking Dubai. I don't care if they just got off a plane from Australia. You have a mental lapse. Those are the types of players that will literally bend you over, not even spit on it, and shove it in your ass.
Oh, I mean,
And that's
100%, yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And that's
Liverpool is the one that comes to mind
Well,
as far as getting
and a front three at
getting
that
getting
can do that to
tanned,
you.
where you say you're going to take a few
Yeah.
whoopings.
Yeah.
I have a feeling Liverpool's going to be one of them
So-
At Anfield.
Yeah.
100%.
I'm not trying to be a dick about it.
4-5-1 kind of matches
No,
where you just go, "What the fuck just happened?"
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to be a dick
No,
about it.
you're
my,
right.
My thing is that's a totally different level when you're coming from I'm exhausted and I'm playing Barnsley versus
Yeah.
I'm exhausted and I'm playing Arsenal, Liverpool, Everton. And you have these players that they don't need to dominate you and have 6 chances. They need to have one glimmer of hope
and they'll make you pay.
and they make you pay for it. And that's it. Is can you sustain that? Because like you said, you have a dip in form. Usually it's attributed to the team being tired. He just has a reputation for that because of the pressing, all-out, balls-to-the-wall style.
Yeah.
And if you don't pick up enough points in the first part of the season when you're fit and ready, that spell, and trust me, I know, I have that week in March every year where I fuck up the Champions League or the Europa League.
Yep.
I fuck up the FA Cup. I fuck up the League Cup. And then I lose 3 straight league games in a row. I know what happens. I'm no stranger to that.
We like to call that pulling a Wenger.
Yeah. I know what goes on. Ever since Tottenham put that sash on their shirt years and years ago, and we made the joke that, is that the seatbelt you built in a seatbelt to your jersey for when your season comes crashing down? Since we made that joke, we do that every season.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, it's fucking annoying. But anyway, so I'm no stranger to that feeling. When you have that dip in form, do you think that you're going to have enough points from the first part of the season to get you through that and keep you safe?
So Bielsa also, with the falling apart at the end of the season,
I.e. pulling a Brighton.
is very, very good in the beginning of the season. And he comes from international management. Like he managed Argentina, he managed Chile. So with this shortened off season, he's used to only having 30 days to get a team ready. So I think they come out the gates firing. Like their form is great. They're pretty much going to keep the squad together. Though, I mean, they need to add a few players in the transfer window, but they've been with Bielsa for 2 years. They know how to play. They know his system back to front. And I think a lot of the championship teams come out hot, and I think Leeds can do the same. But to your point about Premier League strikers, if they get a chance, they'll kill you. And Leeds play out of the back. So you saw when Brighton, play Liverpool or City, they make a mistake and they're down 3-0 at halftime.
Down 3-0 in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's like everybody laughs about Spygate, which was absolutely fucking hysterical. The only reason it was hysterical was because of the 15-minute PowerPoint presentation he gave to the press after he was accused of spying.
It was an hour.
It was an hour. Yeah. And
Here, look what I did. I'm going to show you exactly how I cheated, and you all are going to praise me for how brilliant I fucking was.
Everybody does this, and I just want you to take a gander at how I did it and you'll see that they do the same thing.
Yeah, they do the same
which
thing.
is fantastic. But like everything else, that step from the championship with more club employees, with more except at Arsenal because we just laid 50 of them off. More on that later.
Yeah, that was nice.
Fucking assholes. When you do all these different things, you got to think that every single club, right, in the Premier League now has that same capability. Yeah. That's my concern with you guys, is everybody has that capability to do it.
Yeah.
So is Bielsa's mind going to show through? Will you be able to bring in the quality of player without pulling a Fulham, right? Without literally spending every dime of television money that you're going to get.
Or a Villa.
Right.
Villa did the same.
Every dime of television money you're going to get to stay up. And then hopefully it works like Villa, or fuck, if it doesn't, like Fulham, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? I hope for you that you do stay up, because the Premier League, in my opinion, needs more villains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it's the same thing we said.
From my perspective.
Well, it's the same thing we said
from
about
my perspective, that needs to happen.
Freudian slip, but same thing we said about Villa. There's just certain clubs you want to see in the Prem.
Absolutely.
Villa's a club you want in the Prem. Leeds is a club you want in the fucking
100%.
Prem.
I hate Manchester United. You need them in the Premier League.
We need them in the Prem, and we need them to be successful, because they are not fun when they're not successful.
No, and
they're a waste of time to talk about.
It also cheapens the league because of their history, because of what people expect, right?
Precisely.
So if Leeds comes back and finishes in 10th, the world will quote unquote be right again. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's a thought. And then I want you to kind of highlight some of the really standout players from last season. But making it ugly in the championship is very different than making it ugly in the Prem.
Yeah.
And the teams in the Prem know how to do it, like the Burnleys of the world, or West Ham. Well, no, West Ham is pretty shit on defense. Trying to think some other.
Sheffield United.
Yeah, Sheffield United. That's an excellent example as well. But really, the Burnleys of the world. The team that will put 10 behind the ball, and they will sit there and they will let you run all over the fucking place. And then Ashley Barnes is going to score, kiss you on the nose, and run right the fuck by you. And he's going to do that twice because you gave him 2 times to do it.
Well,
how are you going to be able to handle the slowed down, ugly version of the Prem versus the slowed down, ugly version of the championship, which is just tackle a cunt really hard, which is pretty much that's the slowed down version of the championship.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, it would be Chris Wood, a former Leeds player, to stomp on us with an assist from Charlie
Ashley
Taylor.
Barnes. He's right. Ashley Barnes would kiss him.
Yeah, that's it.
With a Charlie Taylor assist, who also was a former Leeds player.
Yep.
But I think you look at the Prem, you don't have too many teams that are going to say, "Oh, it's Leeds, we need to sit in."
True.
I think it'll just be Burnley and Sheffield, who don't even really sit in, but they play a very,
right.
They always have people behind the ball.
They're mindful.
Very, very organized.
And Everton won't be ready for you. And Everton will kind of pull. Well, I'm just saying, like, let's say middle of the table, we kind of push it up, we kind of take the game to you, and then we suddenly turn around and go, oh shit, we're down 1-0.
Oh, damn it. We forgot we had Jabril Sibade in there.
Yeah,
What's his name?
Oh, thank God. We did not renew that loan.
No, I know. I saw that.
Mr. Sidibe gone. Jabril no longer Everton guy. But yeah, I see where you're talking about, that it's teams will underestimate you a little, not be ready for you, suddenly find themselves down 1-0. They push hard. Maybe they get an equalizer. They don't get an equalizer. Suddenly you score in the 80th and they're going, oh, fuck, we just lost this fucking match.
Yeah.
So I think they'll be able to play not to the level they did in the championship, but I think they will outpossess most of the bottom half, and they will be able to create chances. But the big question is going to be, can they finish them? Because Patrick Bamford misses so many fucking chances. It's unreal. He frustrates me to no end, but he works so hard. So it's like, I love you, but God, put the fucking ball in the net.
Talk a little bit then about the rest of the team, some standout players on the team, and then we'll get to the.
I have one more Bielsa question before we finish up.
Sure, and then after we talk about some of the players, we'll talk about a little bit of the controversy that surrounded the team as well.
Sam, did you have a final point?
Yeah, your
Bielsa
No, I
question.
thought you asked him the other
No, I was
question.
going to let you
do Bielsa
yeah,
first.
I was going to
I'm
let you do
sorry.
your Bielsa real quick.
So Bielsa also doesn't really have a long shelf life at clubs.
Yeah.
Traditionally, I wanted
Hey,
to know.
he's no Mourinho.
So my question is Bielsa in this for the long haul, the mid range, or will it all come crashing down spectacularly as it has tended to do in the past? Will that manifest itself this season or next? If that's your answer.
Yeah, it's funny because he hasn't even technically signed a contract for this year.
Yeah, they're in contract negotiations right now.
But-
Sounds a lot like Bielsa.
But that's like he's done that already. He did that last year.
Right.
And they'll talk like stuff with the clubs, with the back room or the boardroom.
I mean, there's no way Bielsa doesn't
he's coming
go
back.
Premier League.
He's coming back 100%.
I'm in for that.
He's just not interested in signing contracts. But it's like, hey, Marcelo,
Yeah.
we need to get this
But
done.
The most televised league in the world, and he's not going to take the biggest stage. He's not going to stand up there with a PowerPoint at the end of every goddamn share my Zoom screen because of COVID. Oh, this is going to be brilliant. I cannot wait for
right
this.
now in Bielsa's mind. Bielsa's mind is him on the sideline against Tottenham with Jose on the ground, his hand on the back of his head, and him skull fucking him at midfield. That is exactly in Bielsa's mind.
So
right
let
now.
me,
But he's
That
so
is
polite.
exactly what's in his mind.
He would do it with kindness and on the scoreboard.
he would be apologizing while doing it. Yeah.
He would tell Jose did a great job.
Oh, brilliant.
You played so good today. Let me so within that, I think I don't think Bielsa will have any bone in his body to turn this down. I think he likes the drama, and so he's just dragging it on for the sake of dragging it on, in my opinion.
So from what people have said, like, he's been involved in like planning for this next year. It's just he doesn't worry about the contract for whatever reason. But to answer how long is he going to stay, I don't even think he knows, and I sure as hell don't know. I think
can
he's
understand that.
for 100%. He's staying through the year because like all the outpouring of love that the fans have given him, and just how he's kind of transformed the club, they can't let him go. No matter like for me, no matter how shit they do this year, like they have to keep him.
Well, and for all of the shit that we talk about Bielsa and why it'll be fun for him to be in the Premier League and everything else, every player that's ever played for him will run through a brick wall for him.
Yeah.
100%.
And that's the sign of a good leader and the sign of a good manager. Jose Mourinho the same way. As shit as it becomes after a while, as stale as it gets after a while, as tedious as it becomes after a while, anyone that's ever played for him says it'd run through a brick wall for him.
Absolutely.
And you can't, I mean, all that shit in the media, like with Luke Shaw, I guarantee you in the dressing room, he had his arm around him. I'm going to talk shit about you this week, but it has nothing to do with you. I just got to distract from this loss. Or I do this, that, the other. I guarantee you that type of shit goes on.
Oh, yeah.
And regardless of what the actual results are, they are obviously excellent man managers and wonderful minds of the game. Maurizio Pochettino, one in particular, who I don't particularly care for, obviously with his Spurs connection, but praises Bielsa as a god.
Well, Bielsa discovered him in Argentina.
Right, both of them being Argentinian, and then
Bielsa coached
Poch
him at Newell's Old Boys.
at Newell's, yep, and Poch playing for the man, and then being not an assistant manager, but Bielsa being kind of a sounding board while
I think when he wanted to get
Poch
into
was
management,
at Espanyol.
yeah, he came and was like, "Give me some,
Tell me what
thoughts."
to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, absolutely. You can't doubt the man's quality.
Right.
As brilliant as it would be, it's kind of like old man stand on the porch and yell at the clouds kind
Right.
of shit. So
A mad genius. Just don't question it. Just know that he's doing it. He's fine.
the antics are perfect for this show. I cannot wait. I'm telling you, put it straight in my veins.
Who could be
But
leading off every week? So Bielsa did.
Absolutely, yeah,
He'd
that'll
a
be the
whole-
new thing.
A whole new segment. You
I'm-
wouldn't
I'm-
believe what
Yeah.
Bielsa fucking
Next,
did.
I'm ditching the racist and I'm talking about Bielsa. My thing, it's absolutely hysterical, those antics, and that's all well and good, and that serves us a purpose. But you really do, as a footballing man, you have to pay the man some respect. He's a quality fucking manager and obviously a good man manager and a good person, or people wouldn't want to turn up for him the way they do. I talk a lot of shit, but I got to give credit where it's due, and I'm going to give it there.
Yeah, so end of December, early July, they had like an 11-point lead over third, and then it kind of cratered to mid-February, and they had like a come to Jesus meeting, and Bielsa, after they lost to Forest, who was nipping at their heels, and Bielsa basically said, you guys aren't playing bad. We're just getting a bit unlucky. We got some bad results. And after that, they drew Brentford, which they should have won. They had a bad goalkeeping error, which we'll get into their goalkeeper shortly. And then they won 5 in a row, 5 clean sheets, and then COVID hits. So they're back up. They're 8 points ahead of third. First game back, lose to Cardiff, 2 bad giveaways at the back. Cardiff, 2 great finishes. And it's like, uh-oh, here we go again. And then they reel off 6 wins and a draw, and they end up winning the COVID form table.
Right.
When the pressure was on, and they win the league by 10 points. And so I think there's a lot of team spirit, which gives me confidence, and that, they can, kind of like Sheffield, they kept the team together.
Right.
They have a good manager who everyone knows how to play the system, and it's a system that not everyone plays. So you get a few wins at the start, you kind of build on that, and you kind of maintain.
Well, and let's face it, a team like Sheffield was a team that we had all written off. I mean, Sam and I both immediately were like, they're going right the fuck back
100%.
down.
You heard our prediction show?
Yeah. Ninth place battling for Europa in the last couple of games of the season. I mean, until their loss at Everton, they were there.
Relegated.
Oh, absolutely.
In my
absolutely.
predictions.
So that could certainly happen with Leeds. Let's get more into the side itself. Talk a little bit about some of the players. Obviously, you've already talked about Brentford. So why don't you talk a little bit?
I'm sorry. I just wanted to. Team spirit is such a massive thing, right? 90% of this game is mental.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people that are better than me at football that I've gotten the better of just by wanting it more and just having the desire to do it.
Right.
Period.
And knowing your teammates are behind you, pushing you, helping you, and wanting you to succeed.
And just frustrating a cunt. That's there's nothing better than that, right?
Yeah.
So when you got Bruno Fernandes dancing around doing a hop, which we'll come on to in injury time, because that's absolutely hysterical.
They just threw another penalty.
So funny.
That is a key topic in injury time this week.
Yeah. And
if you wanted to get injury time, how would you get injury time,
it's at
Sigmar?
www.patreon.com/DUfootballshow to find all of your extra content for just a nominal fee of either $5 or $9, because 10 makes you think different. And if you just wanted a sticker, give us $1. Thanks very much.
Well worth it.
All right, so let's get into the squad.
Yeah, so I'll start at right back for Mr. Sam G over here. Luke Ayling, a former Arsenal youth product who played center back with Kyle Bartley, who I'm sure you'll talk about on the West Brom show.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
But he is a marauding right back, just runs constantly with his ponytail. And he does this thing where he's a defender, so he'll have his back to the touchline. And he'll get like the slightest push and he'll just go down. But since he's a defender, he gets that call every time.
Oh, God, yeah.
So-
Defender gets a call every single time.
And I know if I was a fan of another team, I would be fucking annoyed, but I love it.
Excellent. So we've already found our cunt on the team.
Yeah. Where's he from?
Him and his little...
He's an Arsenal youth product.
No, yeah, but where's he from, though? That doesn't mean anything. We buy young kids from all over, allegedly.
He's
He's
English. I don't.
Maybe their parents work for the club, allegedly. Don't know.
Sure thing, Wayfair.
He's English. I'm not sure where he's from.
Yeah, everybody's worried about traffic kids on Wayfair. Nah, that's just Arsenal youth products. That's it. Need a new
Chelsea.
cabinet for the dressing room. That's all that was.
Isn't that why Chelsea couldn't sign players because they were trafficking children?
No. Now that you're part of the family, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Russian oligarch, he can slit a fucker's throat.
Allegedly. Find people, those. Find people.
Yeah, find people.
Find people.
Yeah, they can transfer now, so I'm sure it's fine. They can bring in transfer.
That's brilliant.
So, and then at center back, they have Liam Cooper and Ben White, who Ben White, unfortunately, was on loan from Brighton. And currently we're trying to sign him. We had 2 bids for 18 and 22 million. They're rejected, but he also turned down a new contract from Brighton. So fingers crossed, because I think he's a future England international.
Interesting, because Brighton, I think Brighton are losing Dunk. I think Lewis Dunk's going to somebody in the Prem beyond them. But you still have Webster, you still have Duffy, and then you got the guy you just got from the veteran from Ajax. So why do they need your guy back?
So are we on to silly season?
Not yet.
Okay,
No.
because I've got things on some of the players mentioned.
Cool. We'll get into that on silly season.
Since he was such a big part of the squad, so they right now Liam Cooper is their only center back.
Oh, that's not good.
So Ayling can play center back. He's not the big. He's like 5'10", but Bielsa wants ball playing center backs.
Mate, that's all I am.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is be hard, son.
But Bielsa requires like 2% body fat, so everybody's like skinny as a rail.
That's fine. That just means all that is all their body weight is fucking muscle, man. That's it.
Just because we're already getting close to an hour, we're not going to be able to go through the whole squad. Give me another 3 players.
So Calvin Phillips, holding midfielder. I think he could.
One of those.
I think he could be a future England international as well. But a lot of that is because all they have is Declan Rice.
Right.
And I haven't watched enough West Ham to say he's better than Declan Rice, but since they play so attacking, he has to break up a lot of those attacks coming through the middle. And he's excellent on the tackle, does also love a yellow card, but he's also he takes our set pieces. He's excellent distributing the ball.
Don't worry, West Ham isn't going to have Declan Rice much longer either.
Man after my own heart, loves a yellow card.
Yeah.
I do have to say quickly about Declan Rice, has that thing like Steven Gerrard had, where they're like so inept at using their hands. Have you ever seen them run and they get kind of like raptor fangs, like talons as they run? Their hands just do weird shit.
Heard.
Yeah.
So I guess, and also I have to talk about Pablo Hernandez, 35, but he really makes the attack go. They are so much worse when he's not in. He's so creative. He can score. He can play people in. He just finds these little pockets of space. So he scored a goal against Stoke. He took the corner from like the left side, and then he just runs across the box. No one picks him up, gets the ball on the right side, and puts it in. I was like, how would you even think to make that run?
As age and experience. You remember Jonathan we used to play against? Old guy, Mexican guy with the ponytail?
Yep.
Same thing. Wasn't fast, but he was damn good, read the game brilliantly. That's what comes with age and experience.
Few of the guys on Fuentes, the club we used to play all the time, they're crafty.
Yeah.
They're fucking crafty.
They're not fast. They're not anything, but they can read the play. They can read the game very well. And
give them an inch of space, and that ball's in the upper 90s.
That's it.
Kind of guy.
Yep.
Yeah, the only problem is he's 35, and can he handle a full season? Can he go 90 each week? It's I'm not really sure. He kind of had a knock to start COVID, and he didn't play the first match. They lost. And then he would come on at like halftime because of the 5 subs thing. Now, Bielsa doesn't really sub a whole lot anyways, so I think he's more than willing to bring on Pablo at halftime and then only have 2 subs left because he generally just leaves everyone in the whole match anyways.
Right. Doesn't use a lot of people, so he can use Pablo as a change of game sub in the middle of the game and only ask him to run 45, not have to run a full 90.
Exactly.
Makes
And
sense.
we'll talk about it during the silly season stuff, but you also just bought Helder Costa, who's also not terribly young.
Right.
Yeah, so he was a loan with an obligation to buy, so we had him last year.
Oh, okay. So he fits into the team then.
Yeah, so that was basically a way around financial fair play.
Of course, yeah.
Kind of had to buy him because you had the obligation to buy kind of thing.
So it's like, hey, we
Yeah, but you put off the fee until you get promotion to get the money.
Right.
that's
right.
why they did it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
they could, you can only have so many losses over so many years.
He's the wrong side of 25 for
Right.
sure.
He's like
but
26.
I was-
Yeah.
yeah.
So he's not too old.
He's not too bad. Maybe I keep confusing him with that old Portuguese Helder Costa who was older, wasn't he?
I don't remember.
Wasn't there another Helder Costa that was like 32 that just
Again,
retired?
I
There could
don't
have been.
remember.
Yeah, there could have been.
Fucking hell.
Maybe it's like John Smith in Portugal. There's a whole lot of Helder Costas. I don't know.
Doubtful.
Let's move on to some of the more sillier stuff. Who are some famous supporters? Famous people who love Leeds United? I already know one.
The biggest one is probably Russell Crowe.
Mm-hmm.
So someone on Twitter a couple years ago were like, "You should buy the club," and he's like, "Maybe I will." And then they took it and said, "Oh, Russell Crowe's buying Leeds." Of course it. And I was like, "Oh my god, it's gonna happen!" But then I was like, "No, of course it didn't."
But
All right, so there's one cunt that likes the club.
And he also
remember when Elton John bought Watford and that went horrifically wrong? The last thing you need is a celebrity buying the club.
Yeah, you do not need a fan celebrity buying your club.
Lucky that did not go through.
I think him narrating the Amazon doc was good enough.
Yeah,
fair enough. That's all right.
And then also
it's Russell Crowe. We're talking about Leeds.
Well, it's a documentary, so it's more understated than that.
Fucking Australians.
And Mark Viduka, also a famous Leeds player from the early 2000s.
Mark Viduka, very good player, by the way.
4-goal game against Liverpool. Always show the highlights of it.
Yeah.
But
Thierry Henry did that.
And then probably the second most famous is Jamie Lannister.
Yep.
Nikolai Coster-Waldau.
Yeah, that was
Walden?
exactly what I was going to bring up. Yeah, so you got Russell Crowe, a cunt, and then Jamie Lannister of the House of Cunts.
The Kingslayer.
Russell Crowe's not that bad. I like him. He just doesn't like people making wax figures of him.
He just apparently likes
He's
a drink
Leeds.
and a fight.
Yeah, Leeds. What
Leeds
Aussie
to the
doesn't?
core.
So he's Australian. What's the problem?
And then
Our
Jamie,
boy Tim Olsen will talk about that.
And then Jamie Lannister, I stabbed a king in the back.
Yeah.
But he went on Jimmy.
Leeds is perfect.
He went on Jimmy Kimmel before the last season of Game of Thrones, and Jimmy Kimmel's like, "Who's going to be the king in the North?" And he's like, "Bielsa." And Jimmy Kimmel like looks at him all confused. And
Who's
he's like,
that?
he's going to lead he's going to lead them to the promised land. And he did like the promo video for BBC before the Arsenal FA Cup match, and he talked about his fandom. And he did a video after they got promoted. He's like, "Marcelo, it's me, Nikolai, your Danish friend." Just like, thank you so much for all that you've done. So he's been pretty vocal. There's the band the Kaiser Chiefs. They sang "I Predict a Riot" and "Ruby," but they got their name from the South African team, the Kaiser Chiefs, because Leeds bought Lucas Radebe, who was their captain in the early 2000s. They got their name from that team that he came from.
Oh, cool.
Very cool.
Are we wrapping this up?
Yeah, I was going to do the final question. What do you got?
No, go ahead then. I have something to wrap us up.
Okay, so final question.
Should I?
How do you end up doing?
I'm going to say 12th.
12th. Okay.
12th. I think they
feel very confident that you stay up.
I would be surprised if they went down. I guess I wouldn't be shocked, but I think they stay up. I think there's a lot of teams at the bottom of the Prem that I think they're better than them.
All right. So as you cheers your team, I am going to go ahead and pour you a little bit of Malort because we like to give this to all our new in-studio guests. And of course, you are a Patreon subscriber and you listen to the show regularly. And I just think it's right that if we have to drink this shit, you should have to fucking drink it too.
For 16 years of losing, I probably deserve more than one shot, but I'll just do one. So fuck you, Ken Bates, and fuck you, Neil Warnock.
Oh, Neil getting a mention before the Malort.
That's good.
Not the first
Pause.
time.
Not.
Yeah. Pretty awful, isn't it?
I've had it before. It does. It goes down eventually. The taste eventually goes away. Also,
What do you got for us, Sam?
I forgot.
You forgot? It's time to tell you what little we know. It's speculation time. All right. So the silly season is fully upon us. The darts are flying on the dart board and being reported as we speak. Yes, I know I fucked up the word. Stop looking at me, grammar
No,
police.
wasn't that. It was about my Phil the Power Taylor post on Facebook.
Oh, very good. Very good. So before we turn our focus back to Leeds, because this segment we're actually going to talk about who all Leeds is looking at and who they have currently signed. Let's, Graham, why don't you go ahead and take care of the three big signings that happened this week already?
Yeah, so Nathan Ake joined Manchester City, provides them cover at center back, as well as actually he does double as a left back, if possible, which is a position that City has had trouble with over the last few years, having to play the child, Zinchenko, but he was also hurt a lot this season. Benjamin Mendy played, but Pep doesn't really fancy him.
No,
it was
he
kind of
doesn't.
out of necessity that he played. So that provides them ample cover as long as I don't know that he can lead the line as well as Emmerich Laporte. So if they don't sign another big name.
Newsflash, Emmerich Laporte did not lead the line very well against Lyon this week.
More on that on the paid show,
Yeah.
which you could find at www.patreon.com/DUfootballshow.
Nice.
Emil Hoiberg joined Twattenham this week. The big old Southampton twat with the terrible teeth joined Twattenham.
Yeah, he was linked to us forever and then ends up with Twattenham. So
Yeah.
he can go fuck himself.
So basically, Lo Celso very well,
Mhm.
I might add, played the cunt role in that team brilliantly.
Right.
But he belongs actually in a number 10 position. PEH will allow them to put Lo Celso in a number 10 and be the cunt.
And exactly the guy that Jose wants.
Yeah.
Just the right proper prick to play in the middle of
Absolutely.
the field and put people on the ground.
A smile that'll make you dive, too.
And Ndombele is always hurt, so you need somebody there.
Absolutely.
Well, and Jose just does not like him. He just doesn't want to play him.
But he's also in the same infirmary as JPEG.
Right.
And then Willian
Very true.
Willian joined Arsenal.
Are you guys ever going to learn? Don't
Yes.
take Chelsea castoffs.
Yes.
Yossi Benayoun played well for 4 games.
Yeah. Yet another Chelsea player who has ended their contract, and Arsenal goes, "Hey, come up to North London."
Listen, hold on. Y'all talking shit already. They offered him a 2-year deal, but he's 31. He wanted a 3-year contract. It was solely about money and longevity, and that's it. And we gave it to him. He's a good player, as we saw after COVID, captained a side on numerous occasions, and played very well. I'm excited about this signing, to be honest. It's only about 125,000 a week for 3 years for somebody of his experience. Somebody that was on the end of a 7-2 drubbing by Germany in the World Cup has got to bolster our lineup brilliantly.
Are you going to be saying this 2 years from now when he's 33?
And at 18 months, yes. 24, probably not.
Yeah, no, he'll hate him.
Why is he on the couch again with Ozil?
Him and Ozil fucking playing Fortnite. Why is Ozil still on my fucking team?
But by the way, speaking of Fortnite, if you are an Apple subscriber to Fortnite, the app, there is a bit of a problem. If you have it, you can keep it. The problem is that you will not get any updates and you can't get new downloads because Fortnite has decided to not honor the Apple taking a small cut of in-app purchases, as has Google. So Androids are fucked as well. If you delete the app, it's gone forever until they work out a deal.
There are so many preteens that are not going to know what the fuck to do with themselves.
And
Mesut
Mesut
Ozil.
Yeah. Well done. Well done. But those are the 3 major signings this week. And I'm sure we'll move on to some fun shit in a second.
Yep. Well, let's go ahead and get into the moves that Leeds has already done. I'm going to read them off first, and we'll just kind of bounce around and talk about them. And then from there, we'll go into the silly season as well. The players that came in. Let's go ahead and give you the list of them first. By the way, as you know, name assassin, I'm going to fuck up all the names. Just correct me later. All right. So already signed Helder Costa, Ilian Messler, Jack Harrison's back in on a loan from City, Joe Geldhart, and then Cody Drameth are all onto the club right now. What can you tell us about the people that they've signed thus far?
So I'll start with Joe Geldhart and Cody Drameth, and they signed one. So these are 2 youth players.
I assumed when I saw the ages, I was like, they're youth.
And they also signed Charlie Allen from Linfield in Northern Ireland. So these are guys for the future. I highly doubt we see them in the Prem.
Getting loaned right out.
But I don't think they'll be loaned. I think they'll be in the Bielsa system. So another thing, he keeps his squad so small that a lot of the U23s train with the first team.
Okay.
So they're kind of like the back of the bench, the back of the 18 on match day.
Got it.
So Charlie Allen's 16, so he'll probably be in the U18s, but he was the youngest ever debutant for Linfield, which is Northern Ireland. So they're in the first qualifier of Champions League, so that's how low that league is.
Got it.
And then Joe Geldhart, I saw a lot of Wigan fans on Twitter being disappointed that we got him. So that's a good sign. He's 18. He's a striker. And Cody Drama is a fullback from Fulham, who's also an England youth international. So they seem like they have some pedigree. I can't say I really know too much about them, but it seems like good signings. They didn't spend a lot of money.
Costa, we already kind of talked about.
Yeah.
That was the option to buy, and you took advantage of the option to buy now.
Yeah, so they basically kicked the fee down the road so they didn't get in trouble with financial fair play. So Jack Harrison, this is his hat trick of loans from Man City.
Mm-hmm.
So he had an option to buy for $8 million this year, and we kicked that down the road next year. I hear it's around $10 million. So I think next year we finally sign him, and he finally officially becomes a Leeds player. But this guy is actually he has a very interesting story. He's kind of an American success story, but he's English.
So this was the old the New York City FC
Correct.
product who came from was either Villa or Birmingham or somewhere.
So he was in the
Manchester
U.
City.
He was in the Man U
Okay.
academy until 14. Went to prep school in Massachusetts. Played a year at Wake Forest. Got drafted first overall to NYCFC. Played with NYCFC for 2 years, and then City signed him because of the whole
And immediately
connection.
loaned him out. Big surprise.
Yeah, so he got loaned to Middlesbrough with Tony Pulis. So obviously not the best place for a young player.
No.
So in 17-18, he kind of had a slow
footballing
start.
style of a sloth, Tony Pulis.
Yeah. Absolutely right.
Or pardon me, 18-19. He started out slow. People were like, what the fuck are we doing with this guy? And then second half of the season, he really turned it on, and he was really good for us last year. He's tricky with the ball, end product kind of lacking. Some of his crosses, what the fuck? Who the fuck was that to? Which is kind of the same for Helder Costa. Like, great on the ball, but just sometimes it's like, well, what were you doing?
It's like, hey, look up.
Yeah.
just take a survey of the field before you put a fucking ball in, mate.
And then Ilian Meslier is French. He came from Lorient.
Mm-hmm.
Lorient.
He
I
was
took French in college, by the way.
Yes, we know this, Sam.
That
That
was-
was many a time.
Lorient.
Meslier. I don't.
I'd have to look at it written down.
So
Okay.
he's 20.
If only you had notes that I printed for you that are sitting right in front of your face right fucking now. If only I had it written down. Please continue as he just does whatever he's going to fucking do.
Yeah, he's 20, and he was starting for Lorient in the second French division, Ligue 2, I think.
Ligue 2. Yeah,
And they brought in
Meslier.
a more
Meslier, there you go. How about that? If only it was fucking
It's
written
on
down.
page 5, mate.
So they brought in a more experienced goal. So Monaco had tried to buy him for like 10 million euros a few years ago.
Well, under Henri.
Lorient turned him down. And then they brought in a more experienced goalkeeper, and he wanted to play. So he went to Leeds to be the backup. And then our goalkeeper got suspended, which we'll talk about at the end.
Mhm.
And he played every match, the last 9 of the last 10 matches.
Mhm.
The one match he didn't play was after we had clinched the championship title. So I think he'll be the starter next year. I hope he's the starter next year
Right.
because Kiko Casilla, I'll talk about the controversy. They brought him from Real Madrid and he's on like 30,000 a week. So I was like, holy shit, we got a keeper from Real Madrid, even if he was the backup.
Right.
And he had a bunch of errors. So by the time he got suspended, this Meslier guy comes in and don't really know anything about him. And he kind of steadied the ship, didn't do anything spectacular. So, we'll see what happens in the Prem when he gets tested.
When it's a keeper, you don't want to see any major gaffes.
No.
If he's not making gaffes, you're kind of like, Dad, we're okay with him. He's
Yeah.
fine. Good bloke.
You could have De Gea. Come on. Things could be worse.
So, Sam,
Not
what's
even good at nothing?
no,
Not
no.
even give it to me?
He's just.
That was
it's-
pretty good.
Yeah,
They have
but
Dean Henderson. They're just gonna fluck into another elite goalkeeper.
Sam, it's now just too easy to make fun of De Gea. It's
Well,
too easy.
Fair enough.
You know what?
That is a cheap shot.
I expect more of you. I
have a
expect
soft
more
What do
Why
they
of
say?
you.
Sarcasm is the poor man's thought process or some shit.
Yeah,
What's
well, I
the
expect-
saying?
I expect more from you. Silly season. Come on, let's get this train rolling.
All right. A finalized deal also before we get into silly season is Ronald Koeman has been bought out of his contract with the Netherlands to coach Barcelona
Have fun with that, Barca. Speaking as an Everton fan.
after their 8-2 drubbing.
Oh, that's a scapegoat all the way.
Well-
They're like, hey, you take over for a year. Yeah, just
I don't know. Coleman played there, remember?
Right.
He's a company man.
Well, that's what they want. They want a company man.
Uh-huh.
They want to
they,
hopefully keep fucking Messi to stay there.
they also need to change their president, by the way. Everybody hates that dude's guts. I can't remember his name.
so
off the top
Messi
of my head.
wanted Bielsa to come to Barcelona. Maybe Messi just comes to Leeds instead?
Heard it here first. Silly season, full effect. There's a dartboard. There's a dartboard right in front of you, and there's another dartboard 3 rooms away that he just hit.
There's also a mortgage refinancer in Leeds that is crunching the numbers right now for the entire town to take out mortgages to donate to the club to pay Messi's wages for a month.
Oh,
For a month.
It'll never happen, but it's fun to dream.
All right, so what do you got for silly season?
All right, Tottenham are keen on signing Joe Hart.
Why?
Not for the reason that you would think, which is why it's funny.
To make Harry Kane feel better?
No, they need another Englishman in their squad to meet the Brexit rules of having English players in their squad.
Oh, they're pulling a
So-
Chelsea.
So we're going to sign Joe Hart to be the third string goalkeeper for $15,000 a week, maybe, to sit there in those nice comfy seats in the new shiny stadium and just watch real players play football.
And do fuck all.
Absolutely
Which Leeds need to
brilliant.
put in. We need bucket seats.
Yeah,
What are the improvements we need to make to Ellen Road?
absolutely. Yeah, you just
Joe
need
Hart.
seats in general, not even comfortable ones. Just need seats. It was built in the late 1800s, but they still have dirt floors. The Bellegraph Nova Group, which is headed by a Canadian woman, Evangeline Shen, they apparently want to buy Newcastle, and she wants to be the chairperson. ... Laugh my ass off. That's the joke. There's nothing else that needs to be said. Omar Nias was actually released from his deal at Everton, but is said to be still out front of Goodison Park in his biking leotard, wondering when the next training session is because no one's there to tell him. And then Chelsea are looking to
God, you're
bring
such
in...
a racist. You're confusing your black people. It's Yannick Balassi who was the one in the biking shorts.
Whatever, dude. Nias, Balassi, I can't keep them all straight.
Yannick Balassi actually training with the team currently.
Brilliant. Omar Nias was the one that wore the wristbands.
Yes.
Damn it. I got my stories blended. Chelsea are looking to bring in defenders John Stone, Ben Chilwell, and Lewis Dunk, and apparently was given the green light by the director of football operations to do so, which means that given Ben Chilwell's current form and John Stone's overall form for the last 8 years, they are not going to improve defensively and yet shell out £60 million.
Yep, pretty much.
Don't they need a keeper?
Yeah. They need to somehow offload a £72 million goalkeeper as well, in Cesar Azpilicueta.
That's great. They can get back to loaning and loan us Kurt Zuma again because he did perfectly fine for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's their keeper?
Cesar Azpilicueta.
No.
Keeper?
No, that's their left back.
Kepa.
Sammy.
Arrizabalaga.
Kepa Arrizabalaga. I'm sorry.
You were on
Fuck.
You're on fire tonight.
He gave me like a 12% beer.
It's like
Fucking
8%.
Fucking beach time over
It
there.
is 8%. No, it's 120 proof whiskey is what it is.
Hang 10, bro. Go ahead.
I got so many things floating around in my head right now. I've been on vacation for a week and I listen to shit. I just been thinking of jokes and then I got them all fucked today. And Manchester United looking to offload 6 players to fund a move for Jadon Sancho so he can go into obscurity there on the wings. No idea who they are. There was no speculation, so I thought we could do that real quick.
Oh, it's Lukaku.
Already gone.
Well, is Lukaku already gone?
Yes.
Gone? Okay. They
Now,
did.
I know who it won't be. Lukaku. And Sanchez especially because they let him go for free
Yeah.
because he cost too much on his wages.
Right.
And Inter couldn't afford it if they had to pay a transfer fee.
A transfer fee.
So
as
it's
well.
definitely not going to be those two. What 6 players, real quick, are we going to offload from Manchester United to be able to afford the £108 million rated Jadon Sancho?
Fred.
Fred, definitely. You probably get about 10 quid for him.
Would anyone buy Lingard?
Yeah, Lingard.
he's
Lingard will be one of them because Lingard you'll probably sell to somebody for about 10 mil.
Darby
Leeds.
in the championship, maybe?
No, Lingard costs less than a meal deal
Yeah.
in England. It'd be £2.50 tops.
Bailly.
Eric Bailly, definitely. You need to get rid of him. Or Lindelof,
Shaw.
either or.
Right. Which
Luke
is
Shaw. Although, when you buy Luke Shaw, you also have to buy a treadmill, so that's going to bring his value down a little bit.
What's funny is
We're at 4. Come on.
well, and they're not going to sell Pogba now because they think they actually have a chance. So,
Matic.
yeah, Matic. Okay.
Yeah, I think the old folks home would pay you £35.50 to take him in.
Yeah, there you go. Number 6.
I feel like I have to look at that lineup from the FA Cup when they played Norwich, and they look like shit. But I don't remember who played in that.
If they can find a buyer, De Gea.
There you go. To hit
I
number
think
6.
you could still get. This is the serious one. I think you still get 35, 40 million pound for him. The problem is you have a 6-year contract with massive wages. That's the issue.
Here's an oddballer. Do you think Chelsea tries to take De Gea?
No,
Okay.
they've tested their waters with Spanish goalkeepers, and they're having.
It hasn't worked out very well.
Do they try to cash in on Dean Henderson? They can't
I don't
play
think
him and De Gea if they keep De Gea.
the problem is Ederson's good, Allison's good.
Ederson's not very good. You
Both-
did you watch them
Hold on,
against Leon?
yeah, but hold on. Both Emiliano Martinez and Bert Leno are good.
Right.
Willie Caballero is perfectly serviceable, right?
Serviceable, yeah.
And I don't think that they have the money to spend that they would need to spend to buy Dean Henderson, Chelsea. I think Nick Pope is a more affordable option for people.
Yeah.
So I
And
don't
Pope will
think
play number 2
Mhm.
because Pope's had a full career.
right. And Henderson, I think they're going to command too much money, and I don't think Sheffield United has it to pay. To be
Right.
honest with you,
I mean, I
if they
think
can't secure another loan,
Villa could always sell Heaton,
Tom Heaton
simply
again. Yep.
simply because they can make some money off of the deal to sell him.
I mean, I don't
Yeah.
think Pope's that old, and he probably wants to play in the Euros, so I can't see him going anywhere to be a backup this year.
no, but I think he could go to somebody like.
But I think a Pope, we talked about this a few weeks ago. I think Pope could go to a team like Manchester United and just go, I'm just waiting for De Gea to fuck up, and then I'm
And
I'm
in.
the starter.
But that's Dean Henderson. They own Dean Henderson already. And if they don't loan him out, so where does he end up? Jordan Pickford's fallen off in form. You see Nick Pope end up
Right.
at Everton.
I guarantee you, if somebody,
I think
if
and
somebody
y'all
offers
honestly,
us,
you
if
might
somebody,
have the money,
if somebody offers us money for Pickford, I could see us selling.
but you also might have the money to buy Henderson or to buy Henderson as opposed to Pope. You may
Right.
have the money for that.
Right, and go just with
I think you see somebody end up at Crystal Palace.
that's true. Very true.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Watford's going to need someone. So if you have
Right,
somebody,
because Ben Foster's going to back up somebody.
if
in
you
the
have
Prem.
somebody that's not correct, maybe,
Yeah.
but you have somebody young enough like Pickford, maybe drops down to the championship for a season, brings Watford back up.
Nah, he won't.
Mm.
I don't think so.
Dubravka's not young, right? 27, maybe 28. It's terribly young.
Right,
for a
but he's not.
goalkeeper.
He's not getting unseated.
I stuck my own foot in my mouth there.
Fabianski's gotten his form.
Mm-hmm.
With West Ham. I don't. There's not a lot of room for goalkeepers currently in the Prem.
No, there's not.
All right, we are pontificating way too much about a position that really doesn't need to be pontificated about. And I used to be a fucking
I was about
keeper.
to say you got to isolate that.
So tell me, what do you think Leeds is going to continue to do as far as signings? What do you think they need?
So 100% they need a center back, because right now they literally only have one true center back on the roster.
Well,
So
you
if-
need more than one. You need 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think they probably go with 2. So they have a youngster, Pascal Stroik, who played the last few games of the season, could fill in. Luke Ayling can fill in at right back. They can move other pieces around to get right back covered and left back covered.
Mm-hmm.
And Bielsa likes a tiny squad. They need a backup striker for Bamford. They really don't have anyone else. And they need kind of a young, creative midfielder who can maybe sometimes start, sometimes come off the bench, but kind of grow into the Pablo Hernandez role.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably all. And a backup goalkeeper, because hopefully they get rid of Kiko Casilla, who I'll talk about at the end.
Yes.
And I think they're mostly looking at either teams that went down poaching their players, or Saeed Benrahma from Brentford, Eberici Eze, who's a center attacking mid from QPR, just kind of the best of the championship. They're really going to follow the Sheffield model.
Or here's my dartboard: Phil Foden after City signed Harry Winks, and Phil Foden takes offense to it and goes on load to Leeds.
I would say Brentford's definitely got players that are going to be sold. Their
100%.
top 3 guys up front are not playing in the championship for another season.
It depends on
too
how
talented.
long. Depends on how long their contract is, and if they believe that they can honestly win the championship next season, they may buy into the project.
Yeah.
I don't know how old they are, and I don't know how long they have left on their deals.
Yeah.
But there's a good possibility with a shortened window and Brentford doing okay, have the new stadium, they may be able to financially be safe. Yeah,
Right.
So they might be able to hold on or command a respectable amount of money that they could buy a replacement
Right.
that'll properly fit in.
A lot of the narrative amongst the pundits during the championship post-COVID was if Brentford doesn't go up, Brentford ain't
They're
keeping
gone.
these three
Yeah.
guys.
We'll see.
That was it particularly very much in the playoff final where it was Fulham beating them the whole time. That was the narrative the entire time. And I believe one of the strikers was a loanee anyways.
They're very much a Moneyball club. So if they get the right fee, they'll sell. Like they sold Maupai from Brighton last year.
Mm-hmm.
So you would thought they would kind of take a step back offensively. Just kept on trucking. Ollie Watkins was their striker this year. He played more on the wing last year. Went right into that striker role.
Watkins is the one I think that was the loanee. I think might have been a West Ham guy. I'm not 100% sure.
I think they
There's-
own him.
Okay, there's one player in that front three that was a loanee.
Or are you
I
thinking
believe.
of Diangana at West Brom? He was a West Ham.
Yes,
loanee.
that's who it was. Forgive me.
All I want is Griffin Park that just closed, Brentford Stadium after 106 years, had a pub on every corner of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
If that could move over to the new Griffin Park, because it doesn't have a name yet, I don't
Right.
think. If they can move that to the new stadium, they will be my championship club, hands down, end of story, no problem. Pub on every corner, Graham's there.
It'll be something that we figure out when we go back over to London to watch
Yeah.
games. We'll be
Fuck
like,
yeah.
we're gonna go catch a game there.
We're going to go catch a game there on the way to Heathrow because you could see it from the M4.
Yes, we drove
Wait,
right by it.
Yeah, we'll just get a bike lock and tie our luggage up outside. It'll be fantastic.
All right. So, you said about 4 or 5 players is what you think you need.
I think that's what they'll get. They like to keep a small squad.
Cool.
So, yeah.
That won't end up spending all the money. So I think they'll be okay. They're still gonna get fucked.
Yeah.
Well, as we've already established, Sam,
We don't play no football no more.
No, we play no football right now because
soccer-
coronavirus.
The facility in which we play our football was a bit drab, to be fair.
Yeah.
Prior to COVID, don't feel safe going back.
Not a lot of air circulation. A lot of humidity.
Not a lot of cleaning
Not very good.
in general.
Well, that turf, it's just, how do you get the stuff out of the pellets?
Oh,
Yeah.
Just-
And those pellets are just, as a goalkeeper, those pellets were everywhere
Listen.
after a game.
those pellets are rife with staph infection.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
That's
yeah.
just in general of artificial turfs anywhere in the world. Staph infection flourishes there.
So let's turn our attention then to FK Slutsk, who played their final game this Friday against Minsk. One of the hard things, Sam, that's been going on lately, and obviously it's a Belarusian side and English is not their first language, but they do operate a Twitter that they do in English.
Vitaly did very well when he was
Yes,
on there.
Vitaly, well, personal friend of the show. Thank you very much, Vitaly.
Hi, everybody. I'm Vitaly Trubil from.
Yes, my man.
Personal friend of the show, avid fisher.
Angler. Let's
Angler,
use
that's
the
right.
proper term, please.
You know what? My apologies. You're right. The
On the
side-
website, it actually says Vitaly Tribilia, angler / footballer. It lists the fisherman first.
Fucking love it. They have now lost 5 players that have moved on from the club, where they just release a statement on Twitter that says so and so has moved on from the club. We wish them all the best. All 5 of them have been starters. So we know that they're having issues with
Financial
financially,
difficulties, yeah.
and that the league is helping them. They're gonna stay up as far as the table goes. They'll be near the bottom of the table, but they won't be in the bottom 3. But just they in a tough way right now, man.
Yeah, they are.
Spent too much money on the sex bees, man. The sex bees, too much cash money on the
Bunnies.
sex bees.
Sex bunnies.
No, that's right. Sex bunnies.
Sex bunnies.
Yeah, that's right.
They were sex
they're not,
bunnies.
They're not sex bees. They're sex bunnies.
Is it our boy Vitaly? He did play in Europe. That's got to command quite a fee.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. But I don't think he was one that was let go, was he?
No, but he also hasn't played since getting into the Belarusian Premier League Team of the Week. He has not played a game since.
But what
Get him in there.
what kind of managerial style is that? You're part of the best 11 for this week. You know what? Drop you.
What's
then
that you doing out there?
Well, and also let's remember, manager not there anymore. He said bye-bye to the club too.
I have to channel my grandmother here, Catherine Graham. Every time the Orioles fucked up in the early 90s when DC had no baseball.
Oh, boy. Every time?
DC through and through, my grandmother.
But a big O's fan.
We followed the Orioles because there was no baseball in DC from 1946 or whatever, the last time the Senators left.
Right.
And so now we're all Nationals all the way. I've actually got it tattooed on my body.
Yep, we see that.
Yeah, so we're back in. I still have a soft spot for the O's myself. But anytime the Orioles fucked up, my grandmother would yell, I'm going to write a letter. All right, Grandma. So you know what? Chairman of FC Slutsk or the sugar company currently funding you, I'm writing a fucking letter.
There we go, Sam Graham.
You better be ready.
Use that Google Translate.
Yeah. It's going to be like, you should really play Vitaly Trubila. My butthole is hurting from bad toilet paper because Google Translate actually sucks.
Yes, remember, Mike Rogers, a.k.a. whatever the Chinese guy was.
Malaysian.
No, it's Chinese.
Oh, it's Chinese living in Malaysia.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was an Arsenal supporter. That should have been a giveaway.
Great.
Then also
Greatest show in the history.
/ Irishman. You are greatest soccer show in history. That was it. Yes.
We'll get all the good idiomatic expressions. Mel, real quick, you said that you had a Vitaly Trubila text message update.
No, I said that I messaged him. I didn't say I heard anything back yet.
Oh, what happened?
I haven't heard anything back yet.
Well, cancel this bit.
The second I hear something, I will let you know.
Cheers.
It's like 5 o'clock in the morning there.
That's fine. What, you gotta get up early, catch
Yeah,
fish,
I think
mate.
when I texted him, it was like 10 p.m. his time. So when he wakes up, he'll get it.
He was still scaling the fish out back.
We'll tweet DU Nation, tweet at FK Sluts, tell him to play Vitaly.
Yeah.
Please,
Get on it.
everybody.
Get Vitaly in the side. Oh, no.
And make sure you hashtag that DUfootballshow.
Oh, please. They have a massive following on Twitter now.
I was going to say, I mean, you just ruined Taylor's perfect game of you not ever talking an entire show. You did ruin it. I mean, that was not just a no-hitter, a perfect game. You ruined it all.
Well, you know how you said that we were on a team against you a lot?
Yeah.
Against Taylor?
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
essentially the same shit.
Agreed. All right, well then, Sammy, any parting words?
Yes, quickly. Again, credit where credit's due. Mesut Ozil did not take the pay cut at Arsenal, the 12.5% that they took. He cited not knowing where the money was going to go. And the second the EPL season ended, right, as they famously did not lay anyone off because of this 12% pay cut. Well done.
Right.
The second the season ended, laid off 50 people. And Ozil said, maybe I was right to not take the pay cut. And You know what? Fair enough.
Wow.
It wasn't his responsibility in the first place, and fair enough that he didn't do it because they didn't give him assurances.
And they still fired those people.
Correct. So you know what? Sit on the couch and collect your $350 a week, you cunt. That was all that I had. I'm going to toss it over to David, though, because there is a bit of a story that we forgot to cover. Because we suck at admin.
Yep.
So, David, take it away with your racist cunt goalkeeper.
Yeah, so...
Not goalkeeper, goalkeeper.
Yeah, so Kiko Casilla, he was accused of racially abusing Jonathan Lecco, who's a West Brom player, but he was on loan at Charlton.
His name is Jonathan Lecco?
L-E-K-O.
Oh, Lecco.
Yeah,
I was saying,
Lecco.
Jonathan, let it go. No, sorry.
So this happened on September 28th, and we didn't hear what he said. And then the end of February, he
pulled what we like to call a Luis Suarez.
Or a John Terry.
We're getting to that. So 5 months later, he gets suspended for 8 games. They still don't say what happened. And then they beat Hull 4-0, which was fantastic. Oh, poor Hull, though. Jesus Christ, they fell apart. But
Jesus, they did.
8-0 to Wigan.
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
Yeah, don't sell your best players. Bad idea. Anyways.
Welcome to the world of Sunderland, Hull City.
Yeah, right?
And then a few days later, the report came out, and he had called Jonathan Lecco a fucking N-word. And
the old N-bomb. Like I said, a Suarez.
and his defense was that he didn't know what it meant because he didn't really know English. Now, he is Spanish, talks with an accent, but you know what that word means. And
Sam and I can attest from playing in Jessup at the Soccer Dome, all the Spanish guys really like the use of the N-word.
They know that they know what it means.
And they think they could get away with it because they're brown. and the black guys don't much care for it.
They get kind of pissed.
Like Be Real from Cypress Hill?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, you're not black.
So with it's you know how the false friends, there's words that, and then there's, I can't remember the term for the words that actually translate properly just without an accent on top.
Mm-hmm.
From like Spanish to English or French to English or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, the N-word is everyone gets it.
Pretty universal.
They all know what it is.
Pretty universal.
Yeah, they all know what it is. And fitting, we have the D-back bear overseeing this entire conversation.
Yes. You know what? If he was closer, I'd put his head on right now and just go, don't be a cunt.
Yeah.
So your goalkeeper
is a cunt.
Bit of a cunt?
So, I lost my train of thought. So
he's a cunt.
He is a cunt. And
so lost in translation, didn't understand what the N-word was, get suspended, right?
But the club had been kind of behind him the whole time, and it dragged on so long. And then once they found out what happened, like there hasn't been an apology from Kiko Casilla. There hasn't been an apology from the club. And
no shit.
Yeah. So it's
good on the Mighty Whites.
So it's, they kneel for Black Lives Matter, and they haven't, it's
properly addressed the issue.
Oh, that's bad fucking form.
Now,
bad fucking form.
So Tyler Roberts, who's like backup striker, backup number 10, he came from the West Brom youth system. So he's good friends with Jonathan Lecco. So it was like him, Tyler Roberts, Calvin Phillips, and I think Ian Poveda, like they went to Spain, and Lecco and another guy from West Brom were there. So at least you can see that they believe him.
Mm-hmm.
Like I believe him. So it was Lecco and Macaulay Bonn both heard it, and they both said the exact same thing. Like that's what they heard. So Kiko Casilla is like, I'm Spanish, I have an accent, I don't know what it means. I said something else. When 2 people said they heard the exact same thing. So he fucking said it. And it's a shame because this was such a wonderful season. Everyone else is such like good players. They're, they work hard. They're not really cunts most of the time. And, they're not big name players. They've worked their ass off to make the Premier League. And unfortunately, he's still on the team. Like I don't want to say I don't want to ever see him play again, but I don't want to fucking see him play again for Leeds.
A little bit of the news that I did when I researched on him beyond just that was that there's look to move him, and he's looking to move as well. So hopefully that's done and dusted before the season starts.
When you walk in a party and pull your pants down, you got a little wee wee, and everybody else has a big wee wee. You don't want to be at that party anymore.
Yeah.
So hopefully he would want to move on after terribly embarrassing himself and then shitting on the club, right? I mean, honestly, made the jokes just simply because of the name. I know nothing of Leeds supporters' history with racism, but this is a proper Chelsea move, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe he could replace Aretha Balaga. And give the old super blue whites a something to cheer for.
No shit. The old pensioners. The old pensioners.
Damn.
Bunch of racist.
That's
cunts.
a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun.
Well, David, thank you so much for joining us, man. I know we ran along tonight, but I mean, honestly, I just wanted to kind of the point of this during the summer is to do the big intro to the teams
that are coming up.
And
absolutely,
we're doing it next week with Brian. He's going to be calling in from Boston, who's one of the heads of Fulham USA, is going to do this with us. And then
you know what he'll be? Guaranteed. Quite polite. Because that's very Fulhamish.
Not very Bostonish.
Who has a fucking neutral stand?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. 100%. Wait, the club released a statement about somebody tossing a pie over the one kind of upper deck they have and it landing on somebody's. That's not very Fulhamish. What you doing? Turn yourself in. What club does that?
But they have fucking Mitrovic.
Yeah,
who's the
right.
dirtiest fucker there is.
Absolutely. I cannot wait for this. I really want to goad the Boston out of him, but I want to see him cling to the politeness of Fulham at the same time.
Oh, my insult joke. I'm just crafting the Michael Jackson statue joke. I just haven't figured out how yet.
Yes, most pedophiles are polite. You're right. Just get what? Oh, God, did I say that out loud?
They got to distract the parents somehow.
Allegedly.
It is West London and it's right next to Chelsea, so you do have to say allegedly. And also, I just didn't know that statues could touch kids too. I don't know.
What a lovely part of London. We stayed over that way. Had no idea it was the red light district of London.
Yeah, then apparently that's where all the hookers are. Yeah. Came to find that one out.
Well, excuse me. Call services.
Call services.
Allegedly.
No, that's a fact.
Oh, definitely a fact.
We got told by multiple people. All you have to do is text them. A bunch of Eastern Europeans up in the hotels. That's all you have to do.
Oh yeah, multiple people are. You like Bellman? Are you looking for some company tonight? No, married asshole. Like, come on.
No, see this?
Yeah, please. No, we're not interested.
You know what the funny part was? We got stuck with a Scottish wedding in ours. We got stuck with a Scottish wedding in our hotel, but apparently in every hotel and where we were, all Romanian and Czechoslovakian.
The same Scottish wedding that got mad at us for being really drunk on Wednesday after the Cheeto spoke and said we couldn't get back in the fucking country. And they're wondering why we're maybe a little loud at 2:00 in the morning.
Mate, I'm Scottish as well. Chill.
All right. Anywho, thank you so much for joining us. Really had a great time. Really, really had a blast. And thank you for just kind of giving our listeners a little bit of insight on Leeds.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a blast. I love talking Leeds. I usually have to talk to myself, so this is great that somebody was listening.
Yes.
Sorry about the digs, but also not fucking sorry at all.
You know what? I'm in the Prem now. I made my fantasy Premier League team, and I could say favorite team Leeds. So,
by the way, more on that on the paid show, and then the free show next week.
Yeah, free show next week. Yeah, definitely.
We'll figure out the logistics of the DUFC Fantasy League.
All right, so we're going to wrap this up. You're not going to plug again because you plugged enough. Next up is injury time.
What, the Patreon? That's on www.patreon.com/DUfootballshow. That plug?
He snuck it in
Not
already.
do it. Not going to do it. You're right.
Come on, people. Mama needs a new board.
That's it.
And a fourth mic. Definitely a fourth mic.
17 subscribers and counting before we can get a new board.
Yes, exactly. And
JK.
next up is injury time, and it's just more of the same, except for we're going to talk about Europa League and the championship and the beers we're drinking and just random shit like
a fucking doozy David brought us as well.
And
you're going to want to check that out. That's worth $5 to be honest.
And the lovely correspondence from one Mr. Taylor. He crawled out from the taint and wrote a lovely email to producer Mel.
I think his keyboard is firmly pressed against the backside of your nutsack.
Heard.
I don't think he has to leave the taint to send the emails. I heard there was good Wi-Fi signal down there.
There could be.
Sam, you know those Xfinity plugs that help it throughout your house?
Well, here's a fun fact.
Sam's got one as a butt plug.
No, Sam's taint gets 5G.
It must have COVID.
Oh, boy.
Hashtag conspiracy theories. Hashtag tinfoil hat.
Allegedly. Till next week, everybody. Peace.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston.
Sam Houston.
Arsenal fans have an brother Sam, aka the fucking Gooner Graham. Stump of my lord, look straight in shorts. Sam Graham, hey!
Sam Graham.
Rock and United! Rock and United! Hit the fucking mute button!